What's up, guys? Classy Metal here. We are at episode 9 of 7 Deadly Spins. We've made it a bit farther on this series than I actually expected to. I'm glad that I'm keeping this going. You guys seem to be enjoying it, so we're just going to keep rolling with it. I know this episode is pretty overdue. I've been doing these episodes at least weekly, sometimes twice a week, and it's been about 2 weeks since my last one. Ready to get back on the wagon and start pumping these videos out. As all of the previous episodes have been, this will all be CDs in this update. I have a couple vinyl that I will probably be throwing in the mix. I know at least one in the next 7 Deadly Spins. There will be at least one vinyl, so just kind of stay tuned for that. I will be mixing it up a little bit. There is an update on the t-shirts. They are actually en route to me now. They should be delivered by Thursday. I posted an update on those on my Instagram and on my Facebook for this channel. If you do not follow those, they are linked up in the description. You don't want to miss out on these shirts. They are very limited, and that will be the best way to keep up with the updates. I also did a post. YouTube is allowing channels to do these kind of posts and stuff. I do stuff every once in a while through that. I did do a post update through YouTube as far as the shirts are concerned as well. So if you missed that, you can go check that out as well. So I'm just going to jump right into this. I have a very mixed bag today. I have everything from kind of black and thrash to doom metal, funeral doom metal. I have some death metal and black metal going on. So I'm all over the place in this update. I have a little bit for everybody. The first band that I'm going to show is a band that's been pumping out just stellar stuff since I think around the late 90s. I know they've been putting out music for right at 20 years. The band I'm referring to is Aries Kingdom. This is their 2019 full length entitled By the Light of Their Destruction. It was released, I think, in June of 2019 on Nuclear War Now. Nuclear War Now has an act for putting out some stuff that slides in under the radar. A lot of people overlook it, and it is stellar stuff. When you see that Nuclear War Now logo on the back of an album, you know you're probably in for something very stellar that a lot of people just haven't heard yet, and this is no different. This is the 4th full-length from Aries Kingdom. This is a band out of Kansas City, Missouri. They've been pumping out this killer style of kind of death-infused thrash metal, and they have not put out a bad release, in my opinion. This is, as I said, this is their newest. It is their 4th, and this one leans a bit more towards a darker, almost blackened vibe. There's some definite black and thrash going on within this album. It's not a bad direction for this band to follow at all. I think they kind of excel at this, and I think it's just a natural movement, a natural progression for the band at this point. It's kind of them following what they're feeling right now, and at the time of creating this piece of art, and they perform it stellar. I mean, it's an amazing stuff. As I said, it's kind of mainly death-infused thrash, but there are some over-the-top blackened moments going on in this. Just dark, grimy, thrashy stuff. That's the only way I know how to put it. If you're familiar with Aries Kingdom, you know that they have an exceptional discography. This one's no different. Definitely check this one out. Had I not missed out on this or overlooked it last year, I'm sure it would have ended up on my album of the year list because it is that good. They are flawless musicians, and this is an amazing release. So definitely check out Aries Kingdom with By the Light of Their Destruction. Next up is a band that I stumbled on Bandcamp, and I'm very happy that I did. This is some amazing death doom. It's very melodic. It's very atmospheric. There's times that I kind of get some Temple of Void vibes going on. I get some Swallow the Sun vibes going in this as well. Even at times some My Dying Bride. I've heard them also likened to Catatonia. I am personally not the biggest Catatonia fan. I know that's odd considering my love for doom metal. I know Catatonia is one of those bands that a lot of people love. For me, they've just never really clicked, but this band here absolutely does. This is Fires in the Distance with their debut full-length entitled Echoes from Deep November. This is a band out of Newington, Connecticut. I don't hear just a ton of metal coming from Connecticut personally. That's just because it's a bit out of my area. where I would be looking for new metal releases. But as I said, somehow I stumbled on this one on Bandcamp, and I'm super stoked that I did. I heard this. I pre-ordered this actually, and I think there were 2 tracks available to listen to, and the 2 tracks that I heard automatically, I had to hit the pre-order. I actually did the pre-order that came with the T-shirt. They threw in a mask, and they also threw in some patches and stickers. There was quite a bit of stuff of extras that they threw in the actual pre-order. I was pretty impressed with the way that they're conducting business. So this is just very atmospheric, melodic, death infused doom metal. It's death doom, leans more to the doom side, definite doom side, and it's very atmospheric stuff, very melodic stuff. The lyrical content on this is so intelligent. The way that they're able to build the lyrics into the actual music, and the lyrics themselves aren't just simple. They're not simplistic at all. It's very intelligent, make you think, make you feel kind of what they're going through as they were creating this. I'm very excited to share this one with you. I think this is one that a lot of people have not checked out, and you definitely need to do so. There's a heavy dose of like synths going on this. The pianos actually add an extra layer of depth. The keyboards, pianos, whatever they have going on here. There's a lot of depth going on this. I know I bring that up sometimes when I'm talking about albums, the actual amount of depth and layers going on, because I like that when I go back and listen to something that I've been listening to over and over, and I can still find something new going on. That's always an impressive feat for me, and that album absolutely does that. That one will be on my end of the year list. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You will see Fires in the Distance again coming up in a few months. Next up, we have some death metal out of Greece. This album came out, I think, in June. Early part of June on Transcending Obscurity Records. Transcending Obscurity Records ships out of India, so it takes forever for the mail to process and the stuff to get here. This actually came through DHL, so it arrived a little bit quicker than the last order that I did through the actual post office. I do not give DHL props very often, but this time I absolutely can, because they delivered much quicker than the actual U.S. postal system has been delivering at the moment. The band I'm talking about is Death Courier with their newest release, Necrotic Verses. This is another band that's been pumping out music forever. This band originally formed in the 80s. I think they disbanded around 93, reformed in the mid to early 2000s with a brand new lineup except for the actual vocalist, and they've been churning out old school sounding in-your-face death metal ever since, and this one is no different. Kudos to Transcending Obscurity for releasing this one. I think this is one that a lot of people have slept on. A lot of death metal fans have slept on this, and they absolutely do not need to do so, because this is in-your-face, well-crafted, expertly crafted death metal. Sometimes the straightforward death metal can almost feel like it's getting monotonous. There's times where you have death metal bands putting out albums. I've ran into it listening to some of that stuff from that Severed Records grab bag, that huge grab bag that it did. I'm still working my way through that. It was 100 CDs. There are some releases in that catalog that I've been listening to, and I put it on and listen to it through. It just kind of feels monotonous, where everything runs together. One track does not stand out from the other. This absolutely is brilliantly laid out as far as the album is. The track listings, the way that they structured this release was pretty phenomenal. Very, very brilliant way of doing it. When you get to, I think it's track, you go through the first 4 tracks, and towards the end of that 4th track, When Death Fits to the Skin, you start that feeling of maybe this is going to get a little bit monotonous, maybe it's going to start blending together. You're kind of getting to that point because it's just been bludgeoning you just over and over. Fast pace, blast beats, double bass, relentless kind of chainsaw riffs going on. Then it hits an interlude right in the middle, dead set in the middle of the album. And the interlude kind of gives you a little bit of a reprieve, gives you a little bit of a break, and sets you up for the next track entitled Pillars of Murk, which is probably my favorite release on this album. It is my favorite track on this album. It is a track that I'm afraid I would have overlooked had that interlude not been there. I would not have been in the right mindset for Pillars of Murk had that interlude not been there. And then that sets you up completely for the rest of the album. The 4 tracks following that, they all stand out on their own. Amazing stuff from Transcending Obscurity. You have knocked it out of the park again. Definitely check out Death Courier with Necrotic Verses. I'm sure you guys will love this as much as I do. Next up, we have some black metal. This is a USBM black metal band out of Virginia. Virginia seems to be kind of a hotbed for USBM. I've found quite a bit of pretty stellar black metal out of Virginia. This is Skaldr with Scythe of Our Errors. This was released. I made some little notes, and I cannot read my own notes. Sometimes I have trouble reading my own writing. This is another debut full length. I've kind of gone back and forth with bands that have been very well established, been putting out music for years and years and years, and I like to throw in debuts. There's been a lot of debut full lengths that have come out this year that I've fallen in love with, and that doesn't happen just way too often, but this year has been a good year for me finding debut full lengths that I love through Bandcamp. This came out about a month ago. August 28th was the release on this. This is like a melodic style black metal, a little bit different than some of the other stuff that I've been hearing out of Virginia. Pretty stellar. The opening and the closing of this album, like the bookends of this album, you have a almost classical sounding guitar intro and outro. It's very fitting for this. It kind of gets you into that mindset, sets you up for the melodic black metal that's going to follow, kind of gets you in the mood to hear what you're going to hear following, like in the middle passages of this album. You kind of have that feel throughout the album here and there, but the bookends, the beginning of the end, kind of slowly creeps you in, and then it brings you down before the album ends. It's roughly about 40 minutes, I'd say 35-ish minutes of expertly crafted melodic black metal. And it has a almost throwback sound to maybe some of that melodic black metal that was pretty prominent in the mid to late 90s. And it has that definite influence and vibe going on to this. Very good stuff. That was kind of a heyday for me, especially the late 90s, early 2000s sounding kind of melodic black metal. I found a lot of stuff that I loved during that time period. Skaldr kind of gets me back in that whole mindset, and that is a good thing. I do enjoy that album quite a bit. Next up, we're going to have some death metal. This is an album released through Maggot Stomp Records. This is Kommand with Terrorscape. This came out in July. I've actually had this in my possession for quite a while. I've been meaning to throw it in one of these 7 Deadly Spins videos, and I've been dropping the ball. And I had it setting to the side for the next one. I put off doing this video for way too long. I saw it sitting there today, and I was like, this one has to absolutely go into this next 7 Deadly Spins. Kommand has this very old school death metal vibe going on. There's been an old school death metal resurgence in the last year or two. There's been so many good OSDM bands coming out, and this one is no different. I believe this is their first full length as well. It's just kind of grisly old school death metal, a little bit different than some of the other stuff on Maggot Stomp. You have the in your face where you're getting hit, almost like I mentioned in the Death Courier portion of this video. You have that kind of chainsaw riffing going on. You have those over the top, just double bass going. But then you have like the riffage where it just slows it down and hits you with that old school kind of breakdown feel. Not to the point of deathcore or anything. It's very far from that, so don't get me wrong on that. But fantastic stuff here from Kommand. I've shared this on Instagram a couple times, and I know a few people have actually went out of their way to purchase copies after they've heard that, and they thank me for hearing this. Kind of reminds me of one way to describe this band is I would call them like bolt throwers bastard son. I mean, there is a ton of bolt thrower worship going on. That's not a bad thing whatsoever. If you listen to this album, trust me, you will get that bolt thrower reference going on. Amazing stuff. Definitely take the time to check that out, because I think a lot of you that have followed this channel lately, that have like jumped on board, I think that's something that you'll dig. Next up, we have some more death metal. This is much more brutal than any other death metal that I've shown in this video so far. It is only 3 tracks. It is a little EP that was released from Comatose Music in, I think, September 11th was when this was actually released. I have not had this in my possession too long, but it is only 3 tracks. It's just evil, dark, brutal death metal. The name of the band is Slit Your Gods, and the name of the release is Dogmatic Convictions of Human Decrepitude. Dogmatic Convictions of Human Decrepitude. There we go. Went blank there for a second. I do apologize for that. As I said, this was released on Comatose Music. This is a bit of an international band. They have members from all over the globe that have conspired together to release this evil slab of music. I know there's bands from Russia. Members from Russia, Spain. I can't remember all the places that they're from. Spanning from some very different styles of music, and they've come together to create this. I don't want to call it blackened, brutal death metal, but there's some very blackened themes going on within the lyrical content and the EP content as a whole. And I think this is another one that a lot of you that follow this channel, especially some of you that have started following since either the Ungodly Ruins or the Severed Grab Bags, that type stuff, even the Horror, Pain, Gore, Death. This is another one I think some of you guys will really dig if you have not checked out. As always, all of this stuff is linked up in the description. I have the band counts for every one of these linked up, so if you want to check out the music and give it a shot, you can definitely do so. Last but not least, we have one that is another Album of the Year contender for me. This is some funeral doom metal out of Portland, Oregon. It's a one-man project. He's originally from the Ukraine. He is now, I guess, transplanted himself into Portland, Oregon. He is an amazing artist, an amazing musician. He's got his hand in so many different projects and stuff that is crazy. One of my other favorite projects that he's a part of was a band called Eternium with Repelling a Solar Giant. That album was amazing. He's moved on from that project, renamed that project. I cannot pronounce the new name. Anyway, I'm not talking about that one today. This is Markov Soroka's project entitled Drown with Subaqueous. This is Funeral Doom. This is an extension of the 2014 release entitled Unsleep. The project now is called Drown. It was originally entitled Slow. They had to change the name from Slow. When he released the Unsleep album, it was under the banner of Slow. And there is another Funeral Doom band that is entitled Slow. So he changed the name to Drown. The Unsleep album was supposed to be a one-off for this project. It was a conceptual album about coming to grips with your mortality, the drowning, the sinking, that type of stuff. It was supposed to be a dying man's last hurrah, as his dying wish was that he wanted to be heard. And it was supposed to be laid to rest then. And I think after the name change and that type of stuff, they reissued the album through Drown in 2019. It kind of got that steam behind it, kind of got picked up, and the process of a continuation of the Drown project came to life, and I'm glad it did, because this is a fantastic follow-up to that release. This Subaqueous is 2 tracks, both spanning about 20 to 22 minutes, and it is a definite continuation of Unsleep. It picks up right where that album left off. Unsleep is an album that has received hours and hours and hours of playtime from me over the years. It is one of my favorite releases that I've ever heard, and this is a fantastic continuation to that release. I don't know if it's kind of nostalgia reasons or what that I enjoy this so much, but the fact that it is a continuation of an album that meant so much to me is a definite feather in the hat as far as my personal feelings towards this. expertly crafted Funeral Doom metal, just brilliantly composed, and it's not. Sometimes Funeral Doom can get kind of tiresome. It can get almost boring. There are some Funeral Doom bands that their material kind of will lull you to sleep. This is one that kind of keeps me intrigued. I want to hear. I want to feel. I want the story to continue. I know the first album was supposed to be a one and off, and they came out with the second. I hope they continue this story and keep it going. It's something that I really, really do enjoy. Fantastic stuff. That's all I've got for today. Like I said, I will have all 7 of these releases linked up in the description. I hope you take the time to check some of these out. If you do, or if you've already checked some of these out, please feel free to get in the comments and let me know your feelings on them. Hopefully you enjoy them as much as I do. That's all I've got for today. Stay classy, stay metal. Keep an eye out for the shirts. They should be up and running hopefully within the next week, but definitely within the next 2 weeks they will be up and going. So there's some other big stuff on the horizon that I'm working on. I can't wait to share that with you guys either, but that's something for another day. Stay classy, stay metal. I'll see you soon. I promise.